Today we're going to do two things. We're going to replace the drive belt and the drive belt pulley, the idler pulley for a TX525 diesel. This is the wide track, but use the same process for the narrow track too. So step one is to come up and remove this heat shield. This heat shield I got already off here. It's usually sitting back here and covering up your drive pulleys. It's usually 4 bolts. You take the 4 bolts off, and then you're going to have the clamp here for your hood, and then remove your clamp too. Once you remove this, you'll be able to remove your heat shield out of the way. This exposes your drive system. So you can see our belt is broken in two. It's actually one drive belt when you install a new belt. And the idler pulley, which is down at the bottom, I'm going to touch it with a screwdriver. There's your idler pulley right here. Okay, that's the thing that puts tension on your drive belt, so it has full contact with the 2 drive pulleys up here. And these 2 drive pulleys control your hydraulic pumps that pump fluid, hydraulic fluid down to your drive motors for your track system. So there's a spring that holds tension on this drive pulley, and the spring goes from right here on this bracket right here, and then goes down to the idler pulley system and grabs onto this right here, and that's what holds the tension. So we're gonna have to remove that spring. The spring is a pain to get off, so a lot of times I will use a large conduit strap like this, and I will get under the top of the spring at this position over here. I get under the spring, slip this conduit strap through the spring, and then lift up, and the spring will come off the top, and then you just unhook it from the bottom. A lot of times the spring will have a plastic shield like this around it, and that's what prevents the spring from rubbing on the frame and eating into the metal. So this is more common on the later Dingos, but you're not going to find these on the earlier models. So the spring is off and the tension's off the belt. The next step is to come towards the back of the machine, open up your rear access panel here, okay, and there is your dual pump that sits off the back of your engine. You're going to have to remove this bolt right here. I believe it's a 5/8, this bolt right here, and then there's a bolt right on the bottom, the opposite side, just at the bottom right there. Remove those 2 bolts, and you can pull this pump back out to the back of the machine, and that's going to separate the pump from the actual engine, and you can slip the belt onto the pulley after this pump is out of the way. Alright, so we decided to go ahead and take off the back panel of the machine, releasing these 4 bolts here, or 2 bolts here and 2 on the other side, to help pull back the fuel tank, so I could actually pull the pump further back so I could get the new belt around it. I was having a hard time with the fuel tank in the original position. So I pulled the back dual pump out away from the engine, and that pump is secured to the engine front pulley or back pulley with this plastic coupler. And you want to check this plastic coupler and make sure that it's not, that you still have teeth on it and it's not completely eaten. And if it's completely eaten, just go ahead and change it. So after you check it and it's good, go ahead and install it back on the crankshaft or the back end of your engine. And replace the idler pulley. And the idler pulley is taken off with a, I believe it's a 1/2 inch or 9/16 bolt or nut, and we go ahead and take that off. The old pulley will come off, and then you put the new pulley on, and the bolt that holds that nut on only goes in one way, and you can't reverse it because it won't fit. On the back end of the pulley arm, the thing that holds that pulley right there is a slot that fits the bolt's carriage head, and that prevents the bolt from spinning when you tighten up that nut. So take the nut off, take the old idler pulley on, put the new idler pulley on, and tighten the nut back down. And as you see, I've taken the old belt off and installed the new belt around everything, all the way down around the crankshaft, and we are ready to go ahead and install the pump back on the machine. So the belt is in place, and you went ahead and took that plastic coupler, that spline coupler, and stuck it on the back of the gear coming off the back of the engine where the pulley is. And now you're going to install this dual pump back onto the engine, and you're going to push it kind of close, and you're going to rotate this whole system left to right till it sits in that spline connection into that coupler. If you try to force it without it sitting directly in the coupler, the plastic coupler, you will break something. So rotate it back and forth till it sits in, and you know, it kind of sits in this metal area here. These two metal lips will line up together, and there won't be a gap in between them. So there, line it up down there. It's all set in. Take your bolts, one bolt there, reinstall them into the holes. Definitely use Loctite on those bolts so they don't back out on you. So your dual pump is back in. You just come back up and hook your tensioner spring back up on. Start at the bottom down there by your idler pulley holder, and grab onto the latch down there, and then I'll take a strap or a large panduit, and I'll hook it to the top of the spring, and I'll lift up and attach it to that set bolt right there. After that is done, then your tensioner pulley is applying the pressure back needed onto the belt for proper driving. After that, go ahead and put your heat shield back on your machine, and put your bracket back on your hood, put everything back on. You are done.